Whoop whoop. Let me. First up, look at this sweater I got from my friend. It's really cool. It's from One Piece, and in the back you have like a giant Luffy. Um, I never really watch One Piece. I don't read manga. I just watch anime here and there. We're actually now watching the original Dragon Ball. We're at season 2. Pretty cool. I have watched Dragon Ball Z, but I never watched the original Dragon Ball. So that it's really cool to see sort of Goku being really small and childish and pretty naughty too. and I'm also a little bit cold because it's getting pretty cold here in Holland. So yes, but I wanted to talk about two games. Basically, one game that I have been playing, and you know what? I love watching hidden gem videos, especially for the PS2 and PS1 and GameCube and Xbox. And watching. I love fighting games. I'm bad at fighting games. Maybe besides Dead or Alive, I'm pretty good at Dead or Alive. And Dead or Alive 2 is my favorite fighting game of all time. I have a lot of fighting games, but I never see these two games on any hidden gem list or like top 10 fighting games or a hidden gem for fighting games on PS2. I don't know for sure if these games are exclusive. I think they are. I've never seen a Xbox or a GameCube version, but perhaps it's not exclusive. I do remember that, of course, back in the day there was a enormous, not a shit ton, not a lot, an enormous amount of PS2 exclusives. The the sort of market share that Sony had was holy shit. It was incredible. Um, you know, Xbox and GameCube combined didn't even had 50% share combined against the PS2. If you think the Nintendo Switch is dominating the market or at least has a incredible large market share, no. Compared to the PS2, it was unheard of, and perhaps we will never see it ever again. It wasn't even Pac-Man. It was like almost a full circle. That is how much the PlayStation 2 was dominating. So we had an enormous amount of PS2 exclusives. And I think, again, it may not be exclusive. I don't know. I've never seen this game for Xbox. I haven't researched it, if it's on Xbox or whatever. But these are the King of Fighters. And I know the King of Fighters itself. I know there are a couple of King of Fighter games on the Xbox. I have seen it. I just never seen Maximum Impact and Maximum Impact 2 on Xbox or GameCube. And this is in a really cute, cool, I want to say cute, cool, sort of collector's edition. They would call it now the Collector's Edition, Ultimate Edition, First Press Edition. But back then, it was just the game. King of Fighters, Maximum Impact. It had, of course, the game, and it had, what is this? I think it's a manual. Is it a manual? Okay, it's like a big manual and sort of a guide, tips and tricks for the game. Now, I do remember playing this game a bit, not that much, and basically these are 3D fighting games in the world of King of Fighters with characters of King of Fighters that sort of wants to put the King of Fighters 2D style into a 3D game. PS2 age, come on. Every 2D game was converting or wanted to be made into 3D. I think you even have you have Street Fighter EX3. That was 3D Street Fighter, kind of like Tekken. Yeah, that didn't work out well, did it? But there were also 3D King of Fighter games. Now, nowadays, King of Fighters is back at 2D, and the latest one is 16 or 15, and it's a really good one. So, the King of Fighters to me is a 2D game that remained sort of true to its original game, to its original premise and gameplay. And even though, sure, it has DLC, there is a shit ton of characters on every King. Any King of Fighter game has a pretty huge roster of characters. And the game that I'm playing the most at the moment is King of Fighters Maximum Impact 2. And I was playing this game, and lately I've been reading a lot of reviews for newer games, but also older games, because I'm not really on Facebook or Instagram anymore. I deleted basically everything. I am sort of sick at social media. It actually took a lot of my time. And a couple of weeks ago, I just figured out, like, why am I actually on this? Why am I scrolling through all this, not crap, but this stuff that I want to play games? So I deleted them, and I sort of read a lot of reviews at work. When I have a break at work, I'm reading reviews, and basically they trash both of these games. They're not bad games, but I'm playing Maximum Impact 2, and I'm like, hey, you know what? This is actually really good. This is actually a really good fighting game. So I was checking out the review. I'm like, oh, it gets like a 6.5, like a 7, like a 5. I'm like, what? That doesn't really make any sense at all. I enjoy this almost as much as their life too. Now, let's start, I guess, with the most important part. How many characters are in this game? Now, I haven't really counted it because I'm an idiot, but there are probably like 20 characters, and I think there are around 10 unlockable characters. Do you remember those unlockable characters in fighting games? Instead of paying $5 or $10 for a character, you have to unlock them. Yes, that's a secret you did not know. Come on, you didn't know that. You did not know that back in the day, you had to unlock stuff in video games. Yes. No, I'm not joking. It's not 1st of April. It's true. It's true. You didn't buy stuff. You had to unlock it. Yes, that was so cool. But no, seriously though, there are about 20 characters, 10 unlockable characters, 8 or 10 unlockable characters. I'm sort of playing now to unlock all the characters. And with Tekken, I think, again, I'm not entirely sure, but let's just say by most fighting games, older fighting games, because, you have to pay them right now. But, back in the day, you have to unlock characters. You have to, beat hard mode or beat arcade mode and hard or whatever, or a normal. Here, it's super simple. Just beat the story mode with different characters. Super easy, beginner, it doesn't matter. Because, as I said, I'm really bad at fighting games, but I love fighting games. So most of the time, I play it on easy or beginner's mode. So I've already unlocked a couple of characters, and I'm like, it's really cool to see a really big, diverse roster of video game characters. And I'm like, yeah. And then you have games nowadays, you get like 8 characters, 20 downloadable, 12 characters, 18 downloadable. Okay, I said enough about that stuff. So you have a lot of characters. I'm not entirely sure. Probably Capcom vs SNK has more, but in terms of, let's say, the 3D fighting games, I think this is like the biggest roster of characters that I have sort of seen in a 3D PS2 fighting game. However, I have to say, and don't kill me, don't unsubscribe, I haven't really played Tekken 5. No, I haven't. I played Tekken 4 a lot, and I unlocked all the characters on Tekken 4, but I never really got into Tekken 5. So, hey, maybe that game is also, if you just beat the arcade mode, I think story mode is like arcade mode in Tekken, and you unlock new characters. So maybe I can play Tekken 5 on super easy, and because I think Tekken is a really difficult game to sort of get into if you're like a newbie. With Tekken, you really have to try and memorize all the combos, and of course, I mean, this is something I'm going to say that I think everybody who has witnessed the PS1 era is going to say. Tekken 3 is one of the coolest games ever, one of the best fighting games ever, and Tekken 3 is the only fighting game that I remembered I trained to learn all the combos. I played with King, and I was pretty fucking good. I was pretty fucking good, and I loved the was it dodgeball mode that you could unlock, and that little dragon that you can make him fart. That was so cool. But I'm getting off track. We're talking about King of Fighters Maximum Impact 2. So a huge amount of characters, and you know what I really sort of was surprised? Like, it looks really good. And that is so weird because in a lot of reviews that I read, they were like, the graphics are not that great. It's not Tekken 5. Yeah, sure. Final Fantasy, Tekken, perhaps Devil May Cry, at that time was like the pinnacle of PS2 graphics. And maybe like on the Xbox, you can get a step further, and you're like, Dead or Alive was like the pinnacle of graphics back then. If you know a fighting game or a game overall that looks better than besides God of War, and Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid was the pinnacle of graphics. I don't think this game looks bad. I think it actually looks really good. The characters are really detailed. And again, they're diverse. I'm not talking about non-binary bullshit. I'm talking about a diverse amount of characters. You don't have Ryu and Ken. Ryu and Ken are basically the same characters. Don't unsubscribe. It's just my opinion. They're the same characters. And then you have like Sakura and Ryu. They're the same character. Don't unsubscribe. They're the same characters. In terms of how they look, a little bit to me. So you have a diverse amount of characters. If you play King of Fighters, you know that there's a shit ton of characters, and there's a lot of characters that look the same, play the same. But from what I have played at the moment, and I'm playing with the girls because that's what I always do with fighting games. Girls first, the lame ass guy characters second. And, they're diverse. They're pretty cool. And if you want to know, yes, Mai is my favorite character. Leave in the comments below, why do you think that Mai is my favorite character? Come on, you have to know. I just said that Dead or Alive 2 is my favorite fighting game of all time. You know why Mai is my favorite character. But talking about Mai, by the way, fan service. If you think that Dead or Alive 2 has a lot of fan service, it has. It has. Dead or Alive is by far the most fan service fighting game that I have ever played. But the boob physics in this game is actually a little bit too far. It's insane. Again, as I said, Mai has pretty big boobs, right? She's busty. We all know that. Mai is like the fan service character for the King of Fighters. If you think about King of Fighters, at least I even have a figure of Mai, because I think about King of Fighters, I think about Mai. If I play a King of Fighter game, if a new King of Fighter game comes out, first thing in my mind is like, how is Mai gonna look? And she looks always on par. She looks always good. There's no downgrade. Dead or Alive 6 in the King of Fighters. But in this version, I mean, holy shit. Go play the game. Go check out some gameplay of Mai in King of Fighters Maximum Impact 1 and 2. They're freaking huge. They're giant. Holy shit. And they jiggle a lot. I mean, maybe even better than any Dead or Alive 2 characters, or Dead or Alive 3 characters, or any Dead or Alive character in general. Mai is number one. Come on. So there is fan service in this game, quite a bit, and I love it, as you know. I love fan service in games. Sony, why do you censor bullshit? Why, even though there is some stuff, like in Sonic Kagura, you could like grope the girls. Number one, what? That's weird. Why would you want to do that? It's fake. Secondly, they kind of look underage. It's really weird. So those are stuff I'm like, yeah, I don't care. But we all know Sony is censoring a lot more stuff that's more, how would you say it? More on the naughty stuff and not really like, hey, that's a little bit too far, right? I'm going off track again. Fan service in the game, Mai's my favorite character. She's hot. I like her. But, and here's the big but. So, a lot of PS2 fighting games that I have played that are 3D, they kind of play slow. Like, Dead or Alive is a really fast paced and fluid moving 60 frames fighting game. And you can definitely see it. And then you play stuff like Tekken. I'm like, okay, Tekken's a little bit more slower. And Virtua Fighter 4 is also more slower. But you have a lot of budget title fighting games. And they're really slow paced fighting games. And when I played this, my mind was like, holy damn. It's really fluid. It runs, I think, at perfect 60 frames. And it's faster than Dead or Alive. Some of these combos that I do, I'm a little bit of a button masher. I don't try to be a button masher, but basically I'm just tick tick tick. I'm just trying to do stuff. And I'm like, I'm doing crazy combos on screen. The sort of the game that I last played was DNF Duel. Wait a second. Is this fighting game that I actually picked up like 2 weeks ago, and this is also sort of made to try and get beginner fighting games or just people who are not really good at fighting games, still let them do really cool combos. And it does. Just a couple of press of the buttons and you're doing a shit ton of cool combos in DNF Duel. And with Tekken, as I said, you really have to work to get all those combos. With Dead or Alive, again, easy combos. And with King of Fighters Maximum Impact too, I'm like, wow, I'm doing some really cool combos. And I'm doing these sort of special combos where you have like a limit, like a meter, and it's full, and you can do a really cool special combo. I'm like, hey, I'm finally doing this. Even on the newer King of Fighters, I find it very difficult to do all these combos. And I'm like, hey, I'm doing them pretty easy, pretty quickly. And it just looks really cool. It looks really flashy. You're doing a lot of combos. And then, I played Mai first, and then I played another character, and she played completely different. Not 100%, but you know what I mean. She was a little bit slower. She had more like punches. So her punches were like more like combo-ish. Instead of Mai, I kind of use her legs a lot more. So I'm like, hey, okay, that's really cool. It's not like every character plays the same and feels the same to play. And even though Mai attacked super fast, the other character was a little bit slower, but she was still really fast, really fluid. I'm like, I'm liking this game a lot more than the reviews say that I should. And I'm just thinking, like, what are these reviewers thinking back then? Are they comparing it to Dead or Alive? Is that what a reviewer should do? Always compare a game to another? And if it's comparable to Tekken, I mean, this game plays way better than Tekken. Does it look as good as Tekken? Probably not. But I love these anime PS2 style aesthetics. I just love PS2 graphics. It's probably because I grew up with them. And even though games nowadays look beautiful, these old PS2 graphics still tickles my heart when I see it. And it just looks really cool. They really tried to make these characters look cool. And I think even the newer King of Fighter games, even to the newest one, they remain the same. They remain looking cool. Where in for example, Dead or Alive 6, they downgraded the fan service that Dead or Alive is known for, and esport. They wanted to make more esport, and it sucked. And then they had like $600 of downloadable content. What? No, sir. No, thank you. I want my unlockables. So, it's a kind of a long video. I hope you're still watching. Basically, what I want to say, in a very simple note, go play this game. If you're a fan of fighting games, or if you're maybe a fan of fighting games, but you're really bad at fighting games, just like me, so you don't really bother, go get this or get the first version. It doesn't really matter. This has a lot more characters. Get either of these. I don't think these games are really expensive. I think this one at least is 10, maybe $12. Um, Go play this game. It's really freaking cool. Huge amount of content, a lot of in terms of characters and unlockables and stuff. And before you unsubscribe, yes, I will play Tekken 5. I will play Tekken 5, okay? I know that for a lot of gamers out there, Tekken 5 is like Tekken 3 and Tekken 5 is like the pinnacle of Tekken. Even though I do have to say, Tekken 7 is pretty good. Tekken 7 is pretty good. It has a huge roster of characters. It looks great. I don't know what Tekken 5 is going to be different, but one thing I do hate about fighting games nowadays, 3D fighting games like Tekken and Soul Calibur, I think also has it, and Dead or Alive 6 also has it. Is these, press Alt L2 and R2 and you do like a super combo. You know what I mean? Like you have your bar filled, and then you just most of the time you grab or you punch someone, and you do like a super unblockable combo, and you have like this amount of health. Is straight away from your is taken away from your character. So it's like you're winning the match, and then the guy just pick two buttons, pick. I won. It sucks. It sucks. Whoop! Wait up. See you next time.